Today we're going to be doing a demo of the merchant dashboard in the gateway. To start, when you log in, you're going to land on the dashboard page. This will be where you can see day-to-day activity on the website, recent transactions over on the right-hand side, and if you need to sort any of this data, if you click the configure button in the top right, you can drag and drop elements to move them to your liking. On the left, if you click on virtual terminal, this will be where you can manually key a transaction. You would just fill in your billing information, the credit card, or if you're going to be using ACH, it will appear in this payments dropdown, and then the amount you wish to charge the customer. In addition, you can also create subscriptions from this page as well. Moving to the hosted payments page, if you need to create a one-time pay link or an embedded pay link you can put on your site, the HPP will handle this. So to start, if you click on the add button, you'll provide a name for the HPP, a description if you would like to include one, and then what the actual URL for the HPP will be. If you would like to redirect it to a page once the transaction is complete, you can input a redirect URL. For the type, you'll be provided with three options. Standard will allow the user to input a dollar amount. Reoccurring will be a subscription based, and then fixed amount will be a standard amount you can input for, say, $20. And anytime someone goes to that link, it will only allow them to purchase for $20. And of course, you can also set the card processor and an ACH processor if you have that available. Once you save this information, it will take you to an edit screen that looks like this. From here, you could drag the top elements down. So for example, if you have a logo, you could drag that into the HPP, or if there are fields you wish to delete, you could remove them from here. You would need to activate and then also save your changes. Once you do that, you will be able to come back to the hosted payments page listing page, and you will have the links provided. So you can choose either a standard URL, QR code, HTML button, or an iframe that you can embed on your website. Moving down to shopping carts, if you would like to create a CoreCommerce shopping cart, you could do that from here. For the purposes of this demo, this feature is not available, but if you need more information on that, just feel free to reach out to support. For the plans, this will be subscription based. So if there are subscriptions that your business runs all the time, then you may not want to manually have to create those each and every time. So the plans will allow you to create a standardized plan, and you can input the interval, the installments. If you leave it blank, it'll be an infinite amount. So say, for example, if you want 12 installments, you would put the amount to bill and then the frequency and also the date. So it's going to bill, in this case, $20 every month on the 28th for 12 installments. The customer vault, we'll actually circle back to this in a moment when we get down to the reports section, and we'll talk about this in more detail. Managed products is similar. So if you are going to have products, this will apply to the invoices, and it's similar to the plans we were just on a moment ago. You can provide a name, set a category if you have those created, a cost, SKU, and then unit if that is applicable for you. And then you can also, of course, upload an image. And the same for the category. What this will do, when you go to create a invoice, you can input the name into this field, and it will pre-populate all the data that you saved beforehand. So kind of touching a little bit more on the invoice. This form, all you would need to do to set up the invoice is set a date. An invoice number will be generated automatically, but you can adjust this if needed. And then you would just fill out the bill to information and the product information, or if you've created a product, you can input that name. And I believe, let me go back to this for one moment. So test product. So if we input part of the word, you'll see it pre-populated, and then it will populate our data that's tied to that. And then of course, if you need to add additional line items to the invoice, you could do that from here. At the bottom, you would again choose the credit card processor or ACH processor if you have that available. Once you save, it will show immediately the status as sent. Once the end user has completed payment, this status will update for you automatically. Going down to the reports, this will show you any transaction that has come through the system, whether it's been captured or declined. You'll see that information from here. So circling back to the customer vault, if you have a new transaction that comes through, if you click on the view button, click add to vault, this will save the customer's credit card information to the customer vault. We save it as a tokenized version of their card number, so you're never actually going to see their card data once it's stored in the vault. It'll just be the tokenized version of that card. Going over to the customer vault, once you have records saved in the vault, or if you need to add records, you can click on this add button, and it'll just have you fill in their billing information and the details pertaining to the card. So once that data is locked into the vault, if you click on the view button, you'll be presented with an option to charge, and this will run a transaction for that specific card. If you click on the plus button, you can add additional cards to this specific customer vault record as well. And if you click on the edit button, let's say the card they have on file is coming up for expiration. If you click on the pencil icon, you can adjust the expiration date manually if needed. Going back to the reports tab, in addition to the customer vault, once the transaction has been placed, before the batch settles, you'll only have the option to void the transaction. Once your daily batch has settled, this void button will turn into a refund button, and that will allow you to either do a partial refund or a full refund for that transaction. Batch settlements will allow you to see all the batches that have settled for the day, or if you need to go back historically, if you click on the filter icon at the top of the screen, you could change the start and end date. If you need to search for specific batches or batches by specific processors, you could do that from there as well. Subscriptions will allow you to see any current subscriptions you have running, and it will also give you a breakdown of how many payments that subscription has already gone through and when the next and last run dates are for the subscription. And if you click on the view button, you can edit, suspend, or delete the subscription from here. API documentation, this is mainly for developers, but we do provide detailed documentation. So if you are needing to utilize the API to pull data from the gateway or view it, you could do that directly from this documentation. And quickly to touch on some of the additional settings of the gateway, in the top right, if you click on your name and go down to settings, this will be where you can adjust your processor settlement time. So by default, this normally settles around 10 p.m. each night. So for, let's say this credit card one processor we have set up, if you want to change that to settle at 3 p.m. every day instead, you can adjust those directly from here. If you do need to add additional users to your account, you could do that directly from here. In addition to creating users, you can manage their permissions. So if you only would like them to have access to certain locations of the gateway, you could specify those parameters from here. Touching on some of the fraud prevention settings, we have AVS settings. So if you need to block transactions If they do not have a correct zip code or address, for example, you can handle that through AVS settings. We have IP whitelist if you need to whitelist any IPs in the gateway. Transaction limits will allow you to limit transactions based on dollar amount, and rate limits will allow you to limit the number of transactions that can occur within a given period of time. If there are other questions you have on the gateway, please feel free to reach out to Gateway Support and we will be happy to assist.